Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video, Crawfish Boudin. Welcome to the channel. If you're looking for authentic Cajun and Creole recipes, good old down-home Southern comfort food, and just about anything for that matter, then you're in the right place. Today's video is Boudin. Now, Boudin's been around for a long time. Now, back in the day in Louisiana, it would come harvest time. People have raised their hogs up to a time of slaughter, and that's what they would do. They would slaughter their hogs, and they would get all their cuts and different types of meat that they want off of it. But they wouldn't waste anything, right? They would use as much of that hog as they possibly could. And that's when they started making Boudin. And to make that even stretch further, they would use rice. Now, people didn't have a whole lot of money back in those days, and they were just looking to survive. So they would make as much food as they possibly could to get ready for the winter. Nowadays, Boudin is pretty much a delicacy. There's so many different recipes and forms of Boudin out there, and today we're going to do a crawfish version of that. All right, so without any further ado, let's get to the kitchen so I can show you what I'm talking about. Here are the ingredients, and as usual, I will have the full recipe in the description box below. All right, we're going to start off by getting a saute pan heated up to a medium heat. We're going to add some olive oil. Now, once that comes up to temperature, we're going to add our vegetables. Once we get our vegetables in there, we're going to give that a quick mix and let them saute for about 10 minutes. Now we're going to add a pinch of salt. And what this is going to do is help extract some of that moisture and tenderize these vegetables. Now that the onions and celery and bell pepper have sauteed for a little while, you can see those onions have become translucent. It's now time to add the garlic. We're going to get our garlic in there, give it a quick mix, let that saute for about 2 minutes or so. Then we're going to deglaze the pan with a little bit of white wine. And once we get the wine in there, bring it up to a simmer, and then we're going to add our fresh herbs, a little thyme and oregano. We're going to give that a quick mix, and then we're going to let that wine reduce down to about half. We want to let that alcohol cook out of it. Now we're going to add some lemon zest. We're going to give it a quick mix, let it simmer for about a minute, and move on. Alright, now that we have the wine reduced, we got the lemon zest in there, it's time to add the crawfish. And once you get the crawfish in there, I'm going to give it a quick mix. And this next step is completely optional. I'm going to take this funny looking blade here and I'm going to give this crawfish a rough chop. And like I said, you don't have to do it. Choose to do so or not. It's completely up to you. And once we do that, I will give it another quick mix, bring it up to a simmer. We're going to add our seasoning and we're going to let this baby go for about 3 minutes. So now that our crawfish have been simmering for a couple of minutes, it's time to add the juice of a half of a lemon, and then we're going to add some freshly chopped green onion. Now we're going to go ahead and give this a quick mix, remove it from the heat, and let it cool for about 30 minutes. Alright, so while our mixture is cooling off, I have some natural hog casing that we're going to have to prepare. Now this is packed in salt, so we want to take this and rinse it really well, and we're actually going to let it sit in some fresh cold water for a little while. Now that it's cooled down, we're going to go ahead and add this crawfish mixture to a mixing bowl. All right, I have some long grain jasmine rice that I cooked on the side. We're going to go ahead and add that to this mixture. We're going to add about 2 cups. Now that does not mean cook 2 cups of rice and then add all of that to your mixture. You want to cook some rice and then add 2 cups of cooked rice. There's going to be a huge ratio difference there. So make sure it's 2 cups of cooked rice. Once you get that in there, give it a good mix, and then we're going to add some fresh chopped parsley as well. All right, now let's get back to our casing. We've let it soak for a little while. Now what I want to do is give it another rinse, but I also want to rinse the inside of the casing out. Now we're going to go ahead and put the mixture into our sausage stuffer. Make sure you push it down, try to get as much air out of it as you can. Now that I have my mixture in here, we're going to crank it down until the mixture comes out to the edge of the horn. And then from there, I'm going to put my casing on. Now, it doesn't really matter what step you follow right here. You can put your casing on first and then crank it down. It doesn't really matter. This is how I did it. And now we're ready to make some sausage. Now I'm going to go ahead and tie the end of this casing into a knot, and we're going to start cranking down on the back of this sausage stuffer. Now while I do that, I want to keep a little bit of pressure over the casing and the horn so that you can get as much of that stuffing into the casing without puncturing it, without blowing it out, right? So you want a nice tight sausage, but you don't want to blow the casing out. So it's a very delicate line that you have to work with, but once you do it for a little bit, you'll start to understand just how much pressure you're supposed to hold on it and how it all works for you. Now you can go ahead and decide if you want to keep it into one huge link, or you can break it down into smaller links like I'm doing here. Now I'm going to place the boudin on one of these cookie cooling racks, and I'm going to put it in the fridge overnight so that the casing can dry up. Alright, it's the next day. You can see that the casing on here has tightened up a bit, and there's a bunch of different ways you can go ahead and cook this boudin. I decided to smoke it, so now it's time to go outside and get the smoker ready. Alright, I got my smoker set up for about 275 degrees. I smoked this boudin for about an hour, and this is the end result. If you haven't already and you'd like to subscribe, click here. If you want to check out one of the other videos on this channel, check out this playlist, or maybe this video is more to your liking. Either way, click one of those, and I'll see you at the next one.